Hey, friends, welcome to Conversations with Tad. I'm Michael Patton, and we are in for another discussion where me and Tad, my buddy, my lifelong buddy, talk about Christ, talk about the Bible, talk about all things Christian, because this is what we've done for 20 years. But recently he has become a believer, and therefore I am going through a process with him. Right now it's kind of scattered. It's going to get very intentional soon, but it's a process that I want you to join me on, that you can not only come in and listen to what I say to Tad and listen to our discussion, hopefully enjoy the discussion, but get something from it as I attempt to disciple him. Discipling is what we're called to do, friends. It's not making converts. Of course, making converts is important. You want to tell people about Christ. You want to tell them about what he's done. You want to do everything you can using every opportunity and every relationship you have, because our life here on the earth is so incredibly short. But we are not called to come and turn someone into a Christian and leave them alone. We don't make babies and set them out on the street. So it is Christ who said, "Go, therefore, because all authority has been given to me on heaven and earth." Since all authority has been given to me, that's the basis for why we do this. It's the power for why we do this, Christ's authority. Then he said, "Go and make disciples." And this is something I'm trying to do right now with Tad. And I forget what we're going to talk about because, no, I got it up here. I think we're going to continue our discussion of angels. And I'm going to bring him in. And he's got his hand on, and he just disappeared. So I don't know when I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to bring him in just a minute once he's in the green room and available. Now, I am going to take a sip of my drink here, and this is called a Luther latte. No, wait, let's see. What did I do? No, it's a Calvin cappuccino. And Tad, if you're listening, if you can hear me, once we get the Credo House back, and Tad's helping me with this. Hopefully the Credo House coffee shop will be back soon. But once we get that back, we will have Calvin cappuccinos again. Calvin cappuccino is a caramel. This one's a salted caramel latte. So next time you're here at my house, Tad, I need to make you a Calvin cappuccino just so you can know what you're in for whenever the Credo House gets started back up. We got Calvin cappuccinos. Listen to this. You'll like this, some of you guys. It's going to be the Tyndale is going to be the English coffee. That's fun, isn't it? You got the Calvin, the Tyndale, which is the English coffee, and then you got the Irish cream, which is the C.S. Lewis. And then what else is there? God, I got lots. Oh, my favorite in the world is if you don't like any flavoring, you just like the latte itself. That is called a bootser, B-U-C-E-R. One of my favorite theologians in the whole world. One day, Tad, I'll have to tell you about him, but he lived at the time of Martin Luther and Zwingli and knew them both, but a very important figure, very important fellow. Love the guy. All right, looks like Tad's ready. Oh, nope, Tad disappeared again. There he is. Looks like he's almost ready. Tad, are you ready? Shake your head if you're ready. He is not ready. He's talking, saying something, so that must mean he's not. But with this, the Calvin cappuccino, which is if you came to the Credo House, double shot with caramel. The reason why, I mean, I know Calvin was Swiss, and I know it probably would be better to make like a Swiss chocolate, but Calvin cappuccino just sounds better. Luther latte sounds better. So a couple of them don't follow the paradigm that I have set up in naming them. But get ready for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to go ahead now and bring Tad in, as he is not ready. All right, guys, what else can I tell you beforehand? All right. I want to tell you about, let's talk more about discipleship, just the idea of discipleship. I wrote a book called Now That I'm a Christian. Now That I'm a Christian is a book that starts from the very beginning. If you're ever wanting to go through the entirety, like if you're a new believer, or even if you're a seasoned believer and you've never really said, "Hey, let me learn about my faith from beginning to end," the book Now That I'm a Christian, or I've created a course you can get at Credo Courses, and that's called the Discipleship Program. It does the exact same thing, but starts from the very beginning what it is that what is our authority. So it goes through talking about the Bible compared to tradition, compared to all the sources we go to, and then goes all the way down through to the very end when we're talking about service. There's 5 doctrines. The first 5 is orthopraxy. That's what it's called, or excuse me, orthodoxy. What are the 5 orthodox beliefs that we are supposed to have as Christians? And then the last 5 chapters is orthopraxy. What are the 5 orthodox practices we are supposed to have, including prayer and Bible study and evangelism, going to church, that kind of stuff. This is all, or doing church. I don't like to say going to church because that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's doing church. One of these days I'll have to tell Tad about that. That's a fun one too. Okay, Tad looks like he's ready finally. So I'm going to bring in Tad, and we are having conversations with Tad, number 23. Hello, Tad. How are you?
I'm good, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Now listen, I got the Credo House hat on. And what is yours? Yours is the Credo Courses hat.
You know, here's the thing. What makes these so good are the zip thing in the back or whatever, the Velcro. I've never had a hat that feels this good ever, unless it was completely fitted.
Yeah.
I wear this hat constantly, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of you, and I like everything you're doing right now. And
this was not planned. I was not going to promote this. I just remember we had it. We had the QR code up from a long time ago. So
yeah, no.
But get the hat. I mean, get it for Christmas. I think it might be able to still get there for Christmas. So get it for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean,
get it for somebody for Christmas. I mean, who wouldn't want this hat?
I mean, seriously, everybody wears hats. Wear this one.
Okay. All right, Tad.
So my phone's about to die. When I put the charger in, it's all bad.
Are you okay now?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but are you okay? Is it plugged in? Is the charger in?
No, I can't plug it in and do this at the same time.
Oh, great. So how much time do you have left?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, well, Tad might go out, and then I'll kind of wrap it up afterwards. And you said you wanted to talk about something specific.
But we're talking about angels falling, and then the Satanic Church, and I got to thinking after our last one that it's just as hard to believe in Satan because there's so many, like they have priests or whatever they call, what do they call them? I don't know what they call them. The people that talk to people. What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're talking. Yeah, there are satanic priests, there's witches, there's warlocks, there's all kinds of people in that type of environment.
Well, that sounds kind of awesome, actually.
I talked to a warlock one time. He was supposedly, I talked to him. We were sitting outside this house and we were just hanging out, and I was like, and I think this was, I don't know, I think we were both smoking a cigarette outside the house, and I started talking to him about Christ, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian a warlock." And I was like, how does that work out? I mean, that's not even possible.
That's place your bet on red and black at the same time. You know what I mean? You're playing roulette. I got $50 on red and $50 on black.
It is. But, we live in a culture that can be so, like we talked about last time, so incredibly rational, and then sometimes so incredibly irrational.
I just and you said something. I didn't even know we were going to go this direction. I thought we were going to talk about like angels falling and stuff.
Well, let's talk about angels falling.
Well, let me say one more. Okay.
Yeah.
My mind is set kind of on. I just don't believe in religion, and the satanic thing got me going, and then us talking about, and then your monologue or dialogue, whatever you want to call it, it needs to go away. And I believe it's I don't believe, I know it's my goal to get people to believe in God first and then pick a religion if they need one second. And I cannot wait to talk to priests, pastors, ministers, and ask them why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And let them tell me why I'm wrong. But it's God first, you know.
Yeah.
Even with Satan, for God's sake, is you believe in Satan first, and then you pick a church. I mean, they've done it a different way, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
not, you know, and I mean, they don't scare me. I'm not worried about Satan for God. I don't care.
It sounds like you're talking about kind of the damage that tradition can do to you.
Exactly. That's it. That's yeah. Why did I say all that when I could have just said that?
No, it's better the way you said it. Actually, I'm just trying to get underneath and think, what is it that, because you've told me this before, and I did. I said, dude, you got to do a podcast on this because it's really, really insightful, especially since you just came out of the blue and you said, I think religion is the enemy, and I understand. I think I understood your perspective, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay. We've had a podcast on this already, but
Have we really?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now it's you and this Ed guy. I'm so tired of hearing about Ed.
Oh, give me a break. I do other things, Tad. Just because I don't do every conversations with Tad.
I don't do anything other than
I got to make a living, bro.
okay. So I just think God and religion have been reversed. You know, it starts out, you grow up with religion, and then you believe in God. I think you need to believe in God and then go to religion.
Yeah.
That's it.
Is it? You think it's any different than this? Let's put a situation where you grow up in your house. Let's say I had a guy that was actually, well, no, this isn't that big of a deal, but next door neighbor had a little kid. They used to come over and play with our kids. And the little kid, my kids would talk to them, and they found out pretty quickly for some reason this little kid, this 4 or 5 year old, was an atheist. And he said, well, why are you that way? And because my dad is that way and all that kind of stuff. So it's like he was, and you inherit the tradition of your parents. And in some ways, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what you're saying. In some ways, that in and of itself, whatever the tradition is around you that form the outer mold of the box you live in, is the enemy, because it keeps you from actually getting to the real deal.
Yeah.
Even this atheist kid, why was he an atheist? Just because he was. That was the tradition he's brought up in.
That's funny because I met an atheist kid. And I was a Catholic. I met him at the playground on like a Saturday or something, and like it scared me, kind of. You know, like when you're a little kid and you're swinging on swings, and this kid's like, "Why are you here?" And it was my church, you know, and I was swinging on it. It's where I went to school.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason it scared me, and now it motivates me. It's like, okay, I'm in hindsight, I'm looking at this church in my mind's eye and thinking, did I believe in the church or God? And that's where I want to go with this. And I'm Michael. Once I get up to the city, Oklahoma City, I'm going to go to a lot of churches, and I want to ask these pastors and priests and whoever else why I'm wrong. Like I said earlier, and
well, I think you would do well to go to some of the. I mean, I know that you grew up in a Catholic. I think you could do well to go. You're probably saying this, but to go to these Catholics and ask them those questions, because I'm not saying the Catholic Church is the only one that does this by any means. I mean, the Baptist Church has its own tradition. The Church of Christ has its own tradition, but the Catholic Church is explicitly authoritative in the institution of the church, which you grew up in, and I can tell that. I mean, there's 2 billion Catholics out there. I mean, 2 billion. There's like 800 million Protestants, but there's 2 billion Catholics, or 1 billion Catholic and 800,000. Either way, it's more Catholics than there are Protestants and Eastern Orthodox put together. Most Christians in this world, most those who claim Christ, are Catholic Christians. And I'm fascinated myself. I mean, I can jump on your bandwagon too, but I'm fascinated with the Catholic Church because I'm coming at it from a reverse angle. I started where you are getting to, and then now I'm looking at the Catholic Church and I'm trying to figure out, why are they this way? What is the advantage in any sense of having a tradition? Are there advantages?
That just gave me chills. What
How
is the
so?
advantage? What's the advantage?
Here's what I would say. Here's what I'd say the advantage is. Okay, let's say this. I woke up, or I had a dream last night, and I said, God came to me and talked to me, and he said, listen, everybody's got it wrong. I'm a girl, and I don't know, I'm just trying to present something really new. I'm a girl, and I love everybody, and one day we're all going to go to the far side of the moon and have heaven, right? I know it's dumb. I'm just something brand new, right? Here's the deal. I'm sitting there alone. I get up here and I get on this podcast and I say, hey, everybody, I have the truth now. And I tell people, one of the reasons why of the multiple reasons that they may think I'm crazy, but one of them is because they would say, why would God do something outside just for you and not for everybody else for the last 2,000, 10,000 years? Why is it you just now figured out the truth? Is God upstairs in heaven being a cheerleader, hoping somebody gets it and finally you got it? Or is it that he has established his people for the last 2,000 years? Now, it's much easier for me to come and proclaim the resurrection of Christ because it has been proclaimed since day one for 2,000 years. There has been an established church for 2,000 years since it happened. I am not alone. I'm not bringing up something new. And therefore, tradition in that sense comforts me. I'm glad I'm not alone. I'm glad my belief I didn't come up with one night while I was sleeping. And I'm glad that it is a belief full of tradition. How's that?
Okay, I'm sorry. My phone's going to go. But I want to ask this question. I've
Okay.
never asked you this, and it just hit me when you say this. Michael, you are so genius. Is there anything about a certain religion in the Bible? Did God preach religion, or did God preach God? Did Jesus preach religion, or did Jesus preach God?
Well, I think I know what you're saying for sure, but here's the first question I would ask you. How are you defining religion?
Well, we talked about this. I think it's a tradition, and I
Okay.
think it's the way we believe. This is the way your parents taught you to believe. This is the way the church believes. And then there's God. So I
All
want to
right.
know
I'm going to bring up
God's.
something I have talked to you. I remember talking to you about this 20, 30 times so far.
Yeah,
And you're like,
but
why do you always
it's really
bring
starting
that
to
up?
click. It's really starting to click right now. And
Okay,
this is
let me bring this up and try to put it in the context of something I've taught you before. We have how many sources do we go to whenever we ask questions about the world outside of us or just the world in general? Whenever we're looking for truth, we go to one, we go to the Bible, right? Boom. Number two, we go to our reason, rationality. Does it make sense? Is it a logical contradiction? Is it a square circle? Because if it's a square circle, it's not true by definition. Number three, is there a tradition behind it? Are there other people who have said the same thing for many years? Number four, how do my emotions feel about it? Does it seem right? Does it seem contradictory to something that's built inside of me? And then number five, have I ever experienced something that either confirms or denies it? So you got those five things, but you're talking about one of them, tradition. There's five.
I
You're
want to
talking
go
about
back to
one of them.
remember number four.
Number four is emotion, right?
Where is emotion in the Bible, and where's emotion in religion? Emotion is uh, emotion's a big word in a lot of ways. Emotion comes with thought, thinking, and feeling. So if you think, feel, and have emotion, why would you go to a religion that you don't really believe that you're forced to go into and not go to God first? And why not even ask the question? And I want to get Michael, I want to go to schools, preschools and stuff when I get up there. and tell these kids this at Catholic schools and stuff like that, and I'll get permission from them. I'm not going to just bust in. It's just going to
Here comes
I'll
Tad.
get permission.
Conversations with Tad. I'll follow you with a camera.
Yeah, we'll do it together. But no, I'll talk.
It'll be our shtick. I'm just following you around. All right, Tad, let's go in here, and I'm just filming you. And all right, guys.
Cold calling, but I want people to be able to. It all goes back to going to God first, and if you have,
it does. But listen,
so many Catholics that were like me that I don't really believed. They believed, it was just going to church. It was always talking about Father this. It was always talking about this. It was always talking about that. Nothing was God. Zero.
Remember where I told you that quote? Then afterwards I posted it on Facebook, but it's by Yoslav Pelikan, and it says, "Tradition is the living faith of those now dead. Traditionalism is what you're talking about, is the dead faith of those now living." And so basically you're trying to distinguish between tradition, which is a good thing, having people that have gone before you, having people around you that encourage you, having a community historically, having a community in the immediate context, that kind of tradition, and people who you can ask questions to that have really thought through their stuff, or traditionalism, which is you have a pattern that was set a long time ago. Nobody knows why you follow it. You just follow it, and it's more of a social thing. It's more of you do it just because you do it. So traditionalism, I would say, is the thing you need to distinguish, and traditionalism is bad. Tradition in itself can be good. I mean, it obviously can be.
I get that.
Okay.
But pick out your own tradition. Don't be taught a tradition. And I know what tradition is. I kind of contradict myself right there, but it's let me believe first. Let me go kind of take a tour of churches, see where I find the like-minded people.
Yeah.
And go there. So I still have a place to go, but I believed in God first. And that's all I want,
Yeah. Make sure your relationship comes before your religion.
Exactly.
Because if religion comes first, it blocks the relationship, right?
Yeah, you're so much better than me in putting words.
No, I'm not. All I'm doing is trying to distill this because it's good stuff, and I'm trying to figure out, what it is that you're saying. But it really is, and I think you can have an impact because you are somebody who I think was damaged by tradition as it built up walls between you and God, and you didn't even know it.
Who isn't?
Who is what?
Who isn't?
Oh, who isn't? Yeah, I know. I mean, well, it's very difficult. Let's bring a scenario in where you can bring up your children. Let's say you have children and you're growing up and you're mindful of this problem that they may get this, because Christ even talked to the Pharisees and said this. He said, "You're whitewashed tombs. On the outside, you put yourself all nice and pretty, but on the inside, you're dead bones and you stink." And he fought against exactly what you're talking about. He fought so hard against it because people believed more in the Jewish tradition than they did in God or anything else. And so let's say you bring up your kids and you say, "Hey, I'm mindful of this and I don't want them to be involved in this." And basically what you're saying is, I want your beliefs to be yours. I don't want my family's beliefs to be automatically assumed by my children. I want them to have their own faith because God has, I think you've even said this before. I think I got this from you. Maybe God has no grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. I say that. Yeah.
And so it's like,
that was a long time ago.
Well, I mean, it's good. It's really, really good. God has no grandchildren. You do not automatically pick up the beliefs of your parents. And if you think you do, then that's tradition. It's blocking your way to God. And so as parents, here's what you have to do. You have to stop and know your kids will do this. And you have to, here's what Billy Graham, he was such a great guy. but he was talking about his son Franklin Graham, and he said one day he was talking to Franklin Graham, and he said, Franklin, your mom and I have made our decision for Christ, and one day you're going to have to make your own decision one way or another, but I love you either way. And I'm like, that is the starting point here. You release your kids into the danger zone so that they can truly engage. You give them the opportunity to not believe so that they can truly believe. I mean, that is it. You got to give them the opportunity. You got to stop them and say, hey, listen, here's an argument against our beliefs. What are you going to do with that? You teach your children to question their own faith so that it builds their faith from scratch.
Okay. And then I got to let you go because I think my phone's going off. But I don't know if I've told you this, and my kids aren't talking to me now anyway, so it doesn't matter if I embarrass them or not. But we were in church one day, Catholic church in Tulsa. Or no, Mississippi, actually. And I was looking at them, and I was thinking how I'm thinking now, honestly. And I would take my daughter, and I was just like, dude, this isn't, what am I doing to them? You know, I'm teaching them how to think. My whole thing is how to think. So we went on a walk down this park in Nichols Hills, and there was a knot hole. Have I told you this story?
No, you haven't.
Anyway, I didn't want to walk on the path. So we were walking, in between the fences and bushes and stuff like that because I wanted them to think there's another way other than just a path. And there's a knot hole. And I said, look on the other, look through that. There's a whole other world on the other side of this fence. And she was like, wow. And I said, yeah, don't always walk on the path. And there's always a knot hole somewhere we can see somewhere else. And think for yourself. And that's where I'm going with this, Michael. And I'm serious. I mean, I'm serious as a heart attack. I've been working really hard for this. And I hope you guys understand that this is a big deal for us. And we love you. And we're very thankful for all of you. Most of you. There's probably some we're not so thankful for. But
yeah, I can think of a couple.
Huh?
I can think of a couple.
Okay. Yeah. But that's anyway, that's
Sally we're thankful for. Sally, thank you.
Oh my God, Sally.
Oh no, his phone went out. Well, he said it was going out, so that's good timing. I hope you guys enjoy this. It was nothing to do with what I said it was going to be about, and the conversation about angels. But I think it's a really good conversation. And Tad put his thoughts together well on it, or at least to be able to see him from the outside, what he's gone through. Because so one of the things that I look at him and say is, why did he start believing? Why did it take so long? Most people, if you don't believe whenever you're young, there's a high chance you won't for the rest of your life. It's not anything guaranteed, obviously, but at the same time, why did he change? Why did I work so long on him? And what was the barrier of him coming to Christ from a human perspective, right? Because that's all we can do things with. That's the only evaluation tool we have. But at the same time, I think he's really got something. It's true because, and I'm not saying every Catholic is like this, okay? So please, people who are watching this, I understand that there's some very, very good Catholics out there. I know a lot of you guys will hate me for even saying that, but I mean, God bless them. I wish they would come to an understanding of the grace of God like I do, like we do. I think they're carrying a burden that they don't have to carry, and they're going to get before Christ and realize that they carried a burden their whole life that he already carried for them. And then, but there's also just this wall of tradition that can be put up, whether it be the saints or the Pope or so much tradition, so much beauty in the Catholic Church. Really is lots of beauty that can become the faith itself. But that's not only the Catholic Church, that's every church out there, the Presbyterian Church, the Anglican Church, any church out there can become devoted to their tradition to such a degree where they are whitewashed tombs. On the outside, they look great. On the outside, They are, they're all polished up, but on the inside, it's just death. It's just nothing. There's no relationship with God. And that is, just think about how much Christ fought against this. And so what Tad is onto is something that is breaking down the walls. It's the same thing that Christ saw whenever he was here on the earth. But the thing for me is that's what kept Tad. I mean, I think that's the realization he's had, and that's the realization that I've had. That's what kept him from believing, was the wall of tradition. That's what he saw as represented Christ. That's what he saw as represented Christianity. And through that, he could never find or never even see or never even be introduced to the real Christ. And it took many, many years of him personally going through things that broke all that down, and then also people that come alongside of him and help him restructure it the best they can. And I mean, it's been such a pleasure to be on this journey with Tad, and I hope you guys are enjoying this, because this is something that's the discipleship process. It is discipling Tad. It is growing. It was moving Tad from the milk of his mother, if I could put it this way, because the book of Hebrews does, to solid food, to something that is strong from a theological, from a doctrinal, from a discipleship, from a practice standpoint. And so we're going to go through all this. We're going to continue to. I thank you for being on our journey. Tad thanks you as well, even though he had to go because his phone died. And don't forget to support us if you can. Support me at that place. We're going to have our own place on the web sometime soon, but for right now, this is the way you do it, and I really would appreciate it.